along the lines of being flexible, which I think is being present. Gratitude has worked in my favor these days. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days and dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what am I thinking? What a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. You know, they're gonna learn more than I ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow. They'll learn more than I will ever know. And I think to myself, help me out, what a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. Thank you.
For today's readings, I'm going to live while I'm alive and sleep when I'm dead, by Bon Jovi. Rethinking all-nighters, research has showed students who cram are less productive, producing less work at a lower standard while tired and sleep-deprived. While losing sleep, the body attempts to compensate, meaning less waking over hours overall, impeding the next task. By Sorrell Briggs. And from our founder, the honored Dr. Ernest Holmes. The gift of heaven is life, not death. Love, not hate. Peace, not confusion. Rest in peace. From God we came, from God we return. Pray with me. There is but one God, one life, and that God's life is my life, right here and right now. I know that spirit is abound, expressing itself in a small child's laugh. Today, our last day of winter. Tomorrow, as our first day of spring. For it is love that we were born into, and love that we are here to share. And I know that this service, this community, this new dawn, is a blessed and sacred place that you can come to anytime, whether it be in your car and you actually are here in person or visiting us online. It is a place to gather where volunteers have put it all together for us to share, whether it be our audiovisual team, the people who set up the tables, to make sure that it's clean, it's safe, it's warm. Shepherded into the day by our own Reverend Jen, who comes from the Most High, and I know this to be true, for every Sunday she speaks her heart, sharing that light, that love. And for people anywhere who may be feeling any distress, any concern, any consternation, what I need to really share is that this space of love, peace, and harmony is available just for the asking, by merely taking a moment. Whether you are celebrating in an actual building of brick and mortar, you're joining us online, you're in a sweat lodge, you're in a mosque, you're in a temple, a walk in nature, or sipping a cup of warm tea in your home. It's taking that moment to rest, to relax, because what we know in religious science and science of mind practice is this life that I am living this day is merely the physical form playing out as a communication tool that we all express each other to and from. It's in that energy and that sharing, for when I drop this suit of clothes, known as my body, it does not end there. For life is eternal, no matter what suit of clothes I wear, on what plane, who I am, or what my name is, for we are one. I am blessed and honored to be able to say these words, knowing they've gone into the divine, where it is heard, answered, and given. I can release and let go, surrendering it all, knowing it is done, and together we say, and so it is.
We talk a lot about the Science of Mind textbook. It is a book that was written by our founder, Ernest Holmes, who received an honorary doctorate, a number of them actually, in his lifetime. And in the very front of the book is a verse that I want to share with you as we begin our talk today. This verse has not changed with all of the edits and republications and all of the wonderful things that have happened over the years with this particular book. This is exactly the same verbiage that shows up in the first book he ever wrote in 1926. He says this: "Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter, and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shades. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink of the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. Before we ever even open the book to begin to read about the principles and the practices that this man brought forth for us, we are reminded that we are welcome, we are meant to be comfortable and comforted, and that we are to rest. I find that such a beautiful, beautiful verse to remind us of who we are and how we are welcome into the home. Whether it be the home of another, or the home of one of us, or the home of Spirit Divine. So keep that in your mind as we look at today's talk title, because today's talk title, I found a little obnoxious. Let me just say it. We are continuing our theme of play throughout the month of March, and today's talk title is I'll Rest When I'm Dead. So let's talk about that for a minute, because that's not the first time you've heard someone say that, I promise you. Thich Nhat Hanh gives us this quote: "We humans have lost the wisdom of genuinely resting and relaxing. We worry too much. We don't allow our bodies to heal, and we don't allow our minds and our hearts to heal." That could be followed with the question, what the heck is wrong with us? What is that about? This past Monday was a fairly exhausting day for me. It was bath day. Not my bath. Don't go there. I got those things handled really well. I don't have to share those with you. It was bath day for my Lotus, my dog Lotus, which is it's a thing. When it happens, it's a thing. And I get to get her in the car, and she doesn't like the car. 5.5 years old, she has never, ever taken to riding in the car. And so she's stressed, and I'm trying to calm her down, and we're going to Wagon Wash, and we go to Wagon Wash, and I bathe her. And once we get there, she's great. But once we get there, she knows that the quicker she gets in, the quicker she gets out, and she can get back home. So she's in a hurry, usually dragging me or whoever's helping me through the store, etc. And so we get in there and we get her bath, and oh my gosh, everyone and their dog literally decided to go to Wagon Wash on Monday. And there's a line waiting for someone to trim the nails. So we're kind of walking around the store, and every time she sees the door, she tries to dash for the door, and I'm trying to reel her in, and we're finally getting this all together, and we get it done, and we get back in the car, and it's been longer than it usually takes, and we get home. I'm exhausted, but I know that if I don't take her for her walk right now, this minute, we're not going to get a walk in today. It's that simple. So I'm getting ready, and I'm getting the leash, and I'm looking for the dog, who's usually right here just waiting, and she's nowhere to be found. And so I'm kind of wandering around the house, and I'm calling her, and she finally pokes her head down on the landing and comes and lays down on the landing and looks at me like, nope. Which I found peculiar because she loves to walk. It's more of a drag. She more like drags me. But, she loves this. And I'm standing there at the door, and I'm thinking, she doesn't want to go. So I put everything away, And I went and sat down and did some reading, and I did a little bit of work, and she crawled over on her pillow, and she was out like a light for hours. The entire bath ordeal exhausted her. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but our pets do some amazing things. They eat when they're hungry, and they sleep when they're tired. What an incredible concept. I mean, think about that for a second. I can watch her. She takes naps all day long, off and on, all day long. She'll move wherever the sun is shining in the window. She'll move around to the sunspots inside the house. What wisdom there is in that. And that's what Thich Nhat Hanh is talking about here, is that we have lost the wisdom. Because unlike our pets, we are being conditioned to think there's a whole lot to do. And if I don't get it done, something really bad is going to happen. Let's talk about looking at that a little differently today. Dr. Ernest Holmes says this: to enter the silence is to quiet our minds and enter that place of non-movement. Be still and know that I am God is to enter the sanctuary of one's own consciousness. Be still. Moving into that place of non-movement. When I was a kid, we went to church all the time. All the time. All the time. It seemed like we were always doing some churchy thing. But one of the things was Sunday morning was church. We had Bible class. We had church service. We'd come home. We would either have a whole houseload full of people and have this big, huge lunch, or we'd go someplace to someone else's home for lunch. And then we would return back home, and later in the evening, we would go back to church again, in case we forgot what we learned that morning. I'm certain that was part of it. But that precious piece of afternoon time frame, we all took naps. From the time I was a little kid, after lunch, everyone went to their respective rooms, laid down on the bed, and took a nap. It was incredible. When was the last time you walked into your bedroom during the day, laid down on the bed, grabbed your blanket, and just took a nap? We need to rest more. We need to let this thing quiet more if we can. So I wanted to show you this. Here's a to-do list, and it says to-do list, everything. Many of you took time management years ago. What a great concept it was, and I did too. And it was so nice because we learned to make lists. And then I learned quite a few years ago that those lists didn't have to have 22 items on them. Those lists only had to have a couple of things that I needed to do that day. And when I say needed to do that day, I meant that those were more critical things that needed to happen that day, not the 50 things that I kept thinking I needed to do, and now I'm cramming them into that day. So let's be clear on that. Mitch Albom says this: man alone measures time. Man alone chimes the hour. And because of this, man alone suffers a paralyzing fear that no other creature endures, a fear of time running out. I believe that our need to be so busy, to be so congested with everything that's going on in our world and around the world has to do with fear. It has to do with a lack consciousness. It has to do with the idea that there isn't enough time, there isn't enough money, there aren't enough people to get it done. When we're sick, many of us who have had jobs over the years in corporate America learned that you have to go to work. Now, since COVID, a lot of that has changed, but prior to that, we had to endure. We had to power through it. Because if you didn't work, you didn't get paid, and therefore there was a fear of losing your job, fear of not having enough money. I found a story about a woman named Laura, whose husband died after 57 years of marriage. And she talks about the silence of his absence was shattering to her. She couldn't seem to get comfortable in her own home anymore. She couldn't focus. And her mind was continually racing. And there was this anxiety that kept showing up. And it's kind of that sense that when you lose someone, there's that sense that shows up that, oh my gosh, now what? Who's next? What's going to happen now? We go into that idea of, it's called the practice of catastrophizing. Oh my gosh, this is bad, but it could get really, really worse. And so we just start building on that. And that's what she was doing. And so she went to see her rabbi, and he suggested that she try grief meditation. And she tuned into an app, because we have apps for everything, called Insight Timer. And she began listening to guided grief meditations. And pretty soon she was listening to these meditations 4 or 5 times a day. And she was starting to notice that she was calming down, that she was starting to feel better. And from what I understand, that today she still does this. And sometimes she doesn't use the app, she just goes into the silence, but she meditates for 30 to 45 minutes a day. It allows her to completely shift her being and to be present with what is here now. Most importantly, the meditations have given her the opportunity to take time to take care of herself. Now, I have good news for you. You don't have to have an app. On Facebook, Centers for Spiritual Living, our leader, our spiritual leader, Reverend Dr. Edward Villon, does a meditation every single day. And I checked this morning, and all of them are stored on there. So you can literally go on and listen to a meditation from any day in the past months. And allow someone's voice to speak to you, to speak to the busyness of your mind, and allow it to calm down a little bit, and allow you to just kind of move forward as you need to, without jumping into the busyness and the hysteria and the chaos. What a beautiful idea to take that thing up there that says a to-do list and toss it and just be. Spend more time in be mode. So looking at that idea of lack, I'm here to tell you there's more than enough. There is more than enough shelter for everyone who needs shelter. There is more than enough food for everyone who needs food. There is more than enough money for everyone who needs money. Where we have got a little out of whack, maybe, is how we've distributed these things, how we have decided who gets what and to what degree. But there's more than enough. There is more than enough time for you to do everything that needs to be done, and include rest in the process. Many of you know our beloved practitioner, Carol Swift. And for the past year or so, it's possibly even been longer, every now and then she would come up to me and say, Reverend Jen, you need to start thinking about your ordination. And I would stop breathing, and I would go away, and I would shake it off, and I would do everything I could to forget that meant there was something big coming that I had to be a part of. Because I grew up in the world that, you know what? If it's going to get done, I'm probably going to be the one to do it. So, our wonderful Leslie McKinnon went online and pulled all the stuff that Centers has available for us to look at about an ordination. And bless her heart, she emailed it to me. And I stopped breathing. And I began to kind of go into that place of, oh my gosh, how am I going to pull this off? Oh my gosh, this feeling of overwhelming. Guess what I found out? I'm not in this alone. We have a group of practitioners, we have a group of members of this community, members of the Leadership Council, who have all stepped up and said, how can we help, what can we do? And the whole thing is coming together, and I'm getting to sit back and kind of watch it. Now, there's all these concerns about, is it the right color? Is it the right color purple? And those types of things, and we're having those conversations, but those are fun conversations. So in that world of lack, what I was lacking in my mindset was that there aren't enough people, there aren't going to be enough volunteers, there's not enough people to get it done, so I'm going to have to do it. I remember a Christmas Eve when my boys were little, 4 a.m., I am up sewing some stupid little felt little Christmas tree ornaments because I couldn't get them done that week because I had so much to do, and I wanted them on the tree when the boys got up on Christmas Day. Are you serious? I mean, I look back at that and think, I remember they noticed because I had to point them out, but it was like really, 4 a.m., what are we doing? Because I'm dragging them past the presents to the tree and like, oh, look at this, what Mom made. Let's knock it off. How about we agree to do that? How about we knock off being so crazy about the things we think have to be done and the things we think are ours alone to do? I have an amazing staff in this community. I'll mention her name since she's here this morning. Terry Encher is one of those people that she handles so much of our communications and social media, and she gets the happenings out every week, and she does some of the busy work. She does the busy work, and she has the calendar in her head. So she'll text me and say, were we going to do such and such this week? And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about it. Terry's my calendar. Thank you. How beautiful to realize that. You're not in this alone. Stop thinking that you are. I don't care what your role is in your family, what your tasks are in your family. You have the right, and you deserve to take time to rest. Because here's what you need to know. If you don't pick a day to rest, your body will pick it for you.
Amen.
And that's true. You can only ignore a funny little cough for so long. You can only ignore body pain for so long. You can only ignore certain things that are going on with the being for so long, and then the body finally goes, okay, stop already. And then you're down for the count. Then you're laid up in bed for a couple of days, or you've had this wonderful, wonderful, noisy ride to the emergency room, or whatever it is. The body knows what it needs, just like your pets do. We need to listen. We need to take the time to pause. So I want you to test some of this out this week. Not the overworking yourself. Don't go crazy on me. I want you to test this out this week. Sometime this week, I want you to walk into your bedroom and lay down on the bed. 10 minutes. And see what shows up for you. What's telling you you can't lay there and relax? What's talking to you about what you have to get up and do? What is going on? Because just like any other spiritual practice, rest is something we have to practice and practice and practice. And don't give me that story that, well, I can't do that today, because by the time we get out of services today, if I go home and I take a nap, I won't sleep tonight. Really? Is that what you're going to tell me? Because that's not true. I can take a nap at 5 p.m. and I can still be in bed that night and sleep all night long. I've had years of practice because we used to take naps when I was a kid. It never interfered with your ability to sleep at night. Just like if we had dessert before dinner, it never affected our appetite. Those were the lessons I learned. I'm sorry you learned other lessons. I really am. It was very different at my house. So I want you to practice that this week. This quote says, "Allow yourself to rest. Your soul speaks to you in the quiet moments in between your thoughts." You may have to do something like this. I now give myself permission to rest. I give myself permission to step into the quiet. I give myself permission to relax. When you say those things outside out loud, your mind hears them and it responds accordingly. Spiritual practice is training the brain. Spiritual practice is training the mind. That's what this philosophy is all about. Your body's ability to heal is greater than anyone has permitted you to believe. The only reason we don't know how phenomenal our healing can be is we don't stop and take the time to allow it. Just like the story about the woman who was grieving. How many people do you know say things that, well, they've been gone a long time, I should probably be over it by now? No. That's not how the emotions of the body work. That's not how grief works. Every now and then, this big, beautiful, crashing wave just comes over and smacks you up alongside of the head, and you are reminded of that loss. And you're reminded of a life that was so beautiful, and that's okay. But if we try to trudge along and we try to ignore it and we try to get too busy, we can't heal the heart the way the heart needs to heal. So that the next time it happens, we're better able to cope. So what if your body is asking something from you? What if your body just wants you to take deeper breaths? What if your body is asking you to move at a slower pace? What if your body is just saying, listen to me so I can support you? This week is a good time to take some time and attention for that. Our theme this entire year is living in everyday wonder. Living in everyday wonder. And nothing is more wonderful than resting in the One through powerful spiritual practice. Resting in the One, resting in the divine. Spiritual experience comes into the stillness. That's when we become more spiritual. That's when we deepen in the stillness. Ernest Holmes referred to it as quickening. The quickening. It opens the door to the mystical experience. The cosmic unitive consciousness shows us the palpable truth. If we are paying attention to the chaos and the crazy and the insanity and the horror and the trauma and the drama, we can't connect with the truth. Something is getting in the way. So what we get to know is that there's one, and we are of this one. We're not separate, no one of us. And it's hard well, it's not hard. We can't teach this. This is something you have to step into and experience for yourself. You can sit in class after class after class and hear all of this, but if you don't experience it, if you don't embrace it, you can't learn it. You can't accept it. We're talking about discovering the path of sacred stillness where sustained rest is allowed. In this recognition, we are invited by the indwelling Spirit to be revealers of the truth. Each one of us is here, not just to accept and embrace it, but to be an example for the rest of the world. Not to keep this to ourselves, but to be the revealers of the truth for the rest of the planet. To be able to demonstrate the idea of religious science so that the rest of the world can go, oh my gosh, that sounds like that would work for me. I'm going to try that. And move into that place of living fully and wholly. And let me just go back for a second to the statement about I'll rest when I'm dead. Are you sure? I haven't found a lot of books that have been written by people who died. I've been looking, and I have not found them. Do you really know what's going to happen next? The life is eternal. That part of you that is the you, the soul, the being, is eternal. Do you really think it's going to sleep after this? Because I'm not sure it is, so I wouldn't count on that being able to rest when I'm dead idea, because that might just be something somebody made up, and that's not true either. So as we look at this, let's just take some time this week, and let's step into that peace that passes all understanding. When there is turmoil and craziness and chaos, and you feel at peace, don't judge yourself. Embrace it. This teaching gives us the peace that passes all understanding. I don't have to know why I feel peaceful. I don't have to criticize myself for feeling peaceful. I just get to be with it and be in it and embrace it. So this week, you have some easy tasks that many of you are already arguing with. I encourage you to take a moment. Take a breath. Take a nap. Rest. Relax. Repeat. That's your homework for this week. And keep repeating it until that moment comes when you can sit down or lay down and rest your head and close your eyes and just be in the quiet moment. The silence. The peace. That only gets interrupted when you accidentally snore and you wake yourself up. Let's do that. That sounds like a great way to start the season of spring, doesn't it? Please pray with me. Practitioners, please stand. And so right here and right now, we embrace the idea of life in God, life in Spirit, the one life. And we know that Spirit is present with each and every one of us right here and right now. And knowing this, we know that we are all connected. We are all of the divine. We are of the one. And no one of us is separate or separated at any time. And today what we look at is we look at the very idea of standing strong in that space of loving self, of playfulness and peacefulness, and taking time to rest. Because we know that this life is a gracious, gracious, beautiful gift to each and every one of us, and we get to do with it as we choose. We get to embrace it, we get to love it, we get to live it, and every now and then we get to take a nap. And knowing this, I know that each and every one of us becomes that beautiful, shining example for our family members to know what to do, and for our relatives and for our neighbors and for the people we come in contact with, that we can be that stand, that we can be that expression, that we can be that example of how we should treat the human being that is each and every one of us. And so what I know right here and right now is that life is perfect and good. The promise of spring is upon us. Things are coming back to life, and the planet is waking up all around us, and it's beautiful and it's great, and there's more sun hours throughout the day, and that gives us even more opportunities to just pause and rest. And so what I know right here and right now is all are blessed. All are blessed, all are perfect, all is good, and all is God. And so we let it go and we let it be, as together we say, and so it is.
So, when you've taken this nap and you're all energized and you're in the moment and you get the choice, maybe you'll remember this tune. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. Get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single life for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand behind the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one door opens. Promise me that you'll give fate a guiding chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. Don't let some hell-bent lever ever leave you bitter. When you get close to selling out, please reconsider. Give the heavens above more than a passing glance. But when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. Get up, girl. I hope you dance. Maybe they will too. Come on. Come on, everybody, do it. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you still feel small when you stand behind the ocean. You're making me want to play good. But never tilt you all that emotion. Please give heavens above more than a passing glance. Come on. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. You work it, girl. Show them how. I hope you dance. Put your hands together. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. Yeah.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.